Hi everyone, I'm Yola Nash. Welcome to 77 WABC Radio. I'm so happy to introduce my fantastic guest, ERIC MEROLA, who is internationally award-winning director, movie producer, writer, and it's a great pleasure to have you here, ERIC.
Thanks for having me.
I'd love to start our interview about your productions and the field where they are based. Basically, all of them are in the medical fields. So please tell me what really inspired you to focus on this.
Sure. I always wanted to get in the world of making documentaries, and it sort of just happened kind of by accident. I wanted to cover things that really hadn't been stories that hadn't been told before, and the world of science and medicine is rich with a lot of untold stories that I thought were important enough to tell.
Right.
And the idea of certain scientific innovations that are invented, and how that can affect an overall. If you look at the history of anything, science is what's changed everything in society.
Exactly.
Everything from the Industrial Revolution to the person that had the first vaccine for polio. Things like that. So it was just a personal thing. I've always been very interested in that world. And like the first two movies were about an innovative scientist and medical doctor who invented a very effective treatment for cancer, non-toxic. Those were the first two movies. The third, right. I also like getting into the world of how some scientific inventions can be a political issue sometimes, and we can just turn on the news and we see this every day. But yeah, the third movie was about a kind of a whistleblower story about a guy who was working at a big cancer center here in New York, and so related to something they were studying. And my most recent one, called The God Cells, is gets into the world of stem cells, which is a very rich world, because I'm fascinated by that, because unlike decades of pharmaceutical drugs, say, that are based on chemicals and patents and are made in labs, stem cells is a whole new world because it's biology, and it's really new and young, and most people don't understand it.
And it's natural.
And it's, of course, yes. Absolutely. Most people get very confused, as was I before I got into it, about the different types, what they can do. And most people just say, oh yeah, I know so-and-so got stem cell therapy, but most people don't know what that even means. Like, of course, bone marrow transplant, that is technically also stem cell therapy. That was one of the first ones ever invented. But so I traveled around this one incredible clinic in the Ukraine, very unusual stem cell therapy that you can't get many places.
You've been there like 6 times, I guess, right?
I went there twice to film, and 4 other times with family members and some of the people that helped get my movies made. If people watch the movie The God Cells, it's on Amazon Prime, free if you're a subscriber. But it was the first time I put myself in the movie because I got the therapy myself. And
when I was watching that whole segment with you and the way you went through the process, it was so fascinating and a very, for me, interesting discovery of how it works, what it is exactly, and what a huge potential it creates for all of us.
Yeah. So when I was making the movie, I obviously met dozens and dozens of people that had this therapy. Of course, a lot of them had ailments. But the point is, go back to your question, I met a lot of people like myself, busy professionals that had the therapy just to improve their lives generally. They had nothing really wrong with them. And I honestly started getting jealous of hearing about how it changed their lives and made them more productive. And I just got this bright idea, well, why don't I get this therapy? A lot of heads of state get this, a lot of very powerful people, no one's supposed to really know who, but they go to this clinic.
Secret.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
Please tell us where actually stem cell treatments can be applied.
It's amazing. It's just about everything. It's not like any sort of miracle cure for everything, but just about any ailment or otherwise can be used. Stem cells can be used. Like, for instance, my father got it for his type 2 diabetes, and a lot of people, especially in this country, there's a lot of diabetes, and it can affect your blood, and it can affect your organs, and a lot of people have like numbness in their toes, things like that. He not only does he have feeling in his toes again, and his blood work has improved dramatically, but he also had the therapy for his knees as well. So they had injections in the knees that helped out. It doesn't regrow new cartilage, but it takes the existing old brittle cartilage in most people in their 70s and 80s and kind of regenerates it. That's what stem cells do. They're about regenerating your existing tissues. So,
is there any risk involved? in this kind of therapy?
Well, certain types of stem cells can be risky, but that's you just don't go that route, and those aren't even available. But no, there's not. Again, bone marrow transplant is one thing, because most people are familiar. There's a bone marrow registry, and some people don't even really survive this. It's a really big deal. But no. This type of therapy is very low risk. The very first patient these Ukrainians treated was a kid that had aplastic anemia, which is bone marrow failure. And he got this because it was kind of close to Chernobyl at the time. And his parents were buying milk from a dairy farm that had been radiated by Chernobyl. And it ended up ruining this kid's bone marrow. So before they had officially got this approved and legalized and everything, he was their first patient, and he was waiting for a bone marrow transplant in a hospital in Kyiv. And these scientists approached his parents and said, "Can we please treat your child with the stem cell therapy we've been working on?" And after 2 treatments, he was completely cured. I actually have him at the end of the movie on Skype. He doesn't speak English, but I show that I met him, and he has never had any other therapy since. He's married with a child, and I think nowadays people are kind of taking their life in their own hands and taking, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, especially with the world of, I don't know if you've heard of like biohacking. There's a lot of people that we have so much information at our fingertips now, and nothing wrong with pharmaceutical drugs. Of course, they've saved a lot of lives, but this is just such a new direction that could theoretically change the entire face of medicine, because again, you're rejuvenating the body with biology versus trying to fix an ailment with chemicals. As we have for decades. It's sort of, I think it's probably going to be inevitable. It may not happen in 10 years, but it's going to totally steer that ship in the world of medicine a new direction.
I'm wondering what was the most rewarding while making this movie?
Well, aside from getting the therapy itself, because it was fun to be in the movie instead of documenting other people with ailments and trying new things, but actually seeing how it changes people's lives. Like autism is a big issue in the United States now, and I think by 2020, the Washington Post said 1 in 45 kids are going to be autistic. It's really scary. So there's an autistic child in my movie who couldn't make eye contact, couldn't really speak, and you can see him transform. I interview his occupational therapist, and you can see the data, that the actual testing of how they are on the spectrum reduced. It was documented. Another patient that just went a few months ago, a 12-year-old who would only speak in like one words. He couldn't really form sentences. Right. He started speaking complete sentences. Again, it's not this huge magic bullet cure, but it's a huge improvement, lightening the burden on the parents. I've seen people with multiple sclerosis no longer need their canes. Some people with Parkinson's, especially if they're treated early. Like one of the things that's unfortunate, if you've had, say, Parkinson's for, say, 20 years, these therapies don't really help you very well. It's kind of like anything. The earlier you catch it, the better off, the better chances they are of having a good response.
I know that you are planning to travel to Kyiv again and film more.
Yep.
And you've mentioned that if there are people who would like to go and try therapy for any reason, maybe they would even end up in your next movie.
Maybe. Well, what I do is with the Brzezinski movie, and especially this one, I have a very healthy YouTube channel, and I love continuing to follow, because the story doesn't end with just the movie. The story lives on. So I'm done a lot more filming this year, and I'm going to do more filming in September. So anyone listening that's interested, they can of course email me at eric@ericmerola.com. We can give all the websites at the end too. But I'm going to get it a second time in September, because it's been over a year. And based on my research and talking to the experts there, it's supposed to give you an even bigger boost, because the first round they've done a lot of work, and the next round, there's less work for them to do, and you're going to feel all the good benefits, like more energy.
So I guess you are excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. Yeah. I'll be releasing the stuff I filmed this year on the film's YouTube channel, the God Cells YouTube channel. So,
fantastic. Please remind us and all the people who maybe would be interested in the treatment and going there possibly, direct us where we should go to find out more about you and more about the movie.
Yeah, if you go to stemcellsmovie.com, that's pretty easy to remember.
Yes.
You can sign up to the mailing list, which is actually my mailing list for like my Merola mailing list, not just the God Cells. And you will automatically, if you sign up, you'll automatically get an email with a coupon code to watch the film for free. If you have Amazon Prime, you can, of course, go there. So my name is Eric, ERIC Merola, MEROLA. So if you put my name in the search box on Amazon or go to ericmerola.com, you can also sign up for the mailing list there and see all of my work there as well.
We will see you, Eric, I hope, again. Anytime you're in New York, let me know, and I'll be absolutely thrilled to have you on the show again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.